Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Life on the Hulls. Big week this week. We tackle a couple of major jobs here in the factory. Our solar arch, so lots of welding, lots of fabrication going on there. We've had an extreme period of heat here over the last couple of weeks, and working in the factory has been quite arduous. You might even see me sneak off for a day off on the boat. It's been a lovely little break from the intense 40 plus degrees days that we've had and have been enduring here in New South Wales in particular. The other thing that's going on right now is this guy. Lots of work being going on here. This is our foam core tender, and I've just finished today fabricating the deck, and that's the amount of shaping and the amount of work that's gone into this tender. I can certainly see why they cost so much and where the value really is when you can do this and pick it up and it's super light. They'd just be absolutely game changers on a cruising catamaran or yacht. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel. It's so important you click that subscribe button. If you're on a TV, just click up with your up button and scroll across and subscribe. It means you'll get to see us fabricating things like this into the future, and also it will actually help our channel a lot. We really appreciate it. Thanks to the patrons. Let's get into it. Well, it's the new year, and as we wind up our work in our factory here, I've got to get a number of projects knocked over before we decide to go off cruising, and that's been a little bit of a challenge because I've had that fleet of boats to make just before Christmas, and now we're into the new year, and the temperatures are up around the 40-degree mark today and all week right through till Sunday morning, and it's Tuesday now, so we've got a week of stinking hot weather ahead, and I'm just trying to get a few jobs done early in the morning to try to make sure that I've got my ducks in a row so that in a couple of months Janet and I can go off cruising. Now, one of those massive jobs that I'm intending to do is a solar arch. It takes a lot of cutting and a lot of welding, and I'm not a great welder, so I tend to be a good polisher and not a great welder. So I've started the process of making our big solar array, and that solar array is going to be about 2.3 meters high and 3.5 meters wide, so it's fairly substantial, and it's also going to serve as a storage for our kayaks and our stand-up paddleboards underneath, and also more of a sunshade for us when we're out in the tropics, because we're finding that even with our large oversized cockpit roof, I wish I'd extended it by about another metre, but I can sort of compensate with the solar array and those solar panels. So we have 50mm or 2-inch polished stainless, mirrored stainless steel here, and this is going to form the basis of a giant arch, which will then clip onto the back, will be bolted down to the little winglets that I put there, and then I'm also going to add some lifelines across to those as well, because one thing we're noticing as we're sailing is that there is no way of stopping anyone going over the sugar scoops while we're underway, and I do need to do that. I had a young fella on board last week. I was always worried about him falling off the back, so we don't want anyone heading down on the sugar scoops while we're underway. And you know how much I hate working on my knees, but there's no other way to keep this thing square. I've got to put some 90-degree angle braces in this to make sure that we get it nice and square before I weld it up. And as you can see, it's 2.3 meters high, 3.45 meters wide, and that's going to span our davits. So that's what I'm sort of planning to do. I do like the hard panels. I'm not a big fan of soft panels. I'll probably have a couple of soft panels on a separate region just for those days where I just don't need too much power, but I'm not a big fan of the soft panels. I know they're getting better, but the hard panels are just far more efficient. I'm going to put in anti-shading panels as well, which is going to make a big difference for this particular part of the array, because this will be out of the shade. There won't be a lot of shading on here at all, because the boom is way forward of it and the travel is around about 2 feet or 1.5 feet forward of where this array will sit. So I'm hoping that it's actually going to be more than substantial enough. I may only put 2 400 watt panels on it, or even 2 300 watt panels to start with, and then build it as I go. So I'm sort of planning for 2 or 3 years down the line when our power needs are even more, but we are about to increase our power needs with a washing machine and also a big freezer, which is going to eat up a lot of our power. That is that ambient power that we've got sitting there at the moment, or that reserve power that we have sitting there at the moment that we're not using, is about to be starting to get eaten up by my my excess power needs. And then Janet will get a hair straightener out and a hairdryer, and then we'll need heaps more. Whew, 5 very hot hours later. It is 40 degrees and I've chosen today to do the welding. My God, how stupid am I? But it's done. I've finished the arch. I have to then go and measure the supports that are going to go and tie in to the top of the hard top. But not only have I welded the flanges on, but I've been able to polish them back right to a mirror finish again. It's been a bit of a job working through the discs. So we've got a flap disc, a Scotch-Brite, and then we go into some unitizing discs and into a couple of felt pads with black polishing wax. And that has certainly been a big day. Basically, if you look at this, that was actually welded onto that. I've sanded or ground the weldings down to make sure that they still have integrity, but then I've been able to polish them back. And then up here where I joined the 90 degree, I've actually polished them back and they're looking really, really good. Very, very happy with that. So instead of bending the 50mm, which I couldn't have done, I've chosen to put in these 90 degrees 316 stainless handrail joiners, and they look pretty good. And as you can see, the whole thing has come up really, really well. I don't think I could have chosen a hotter day to do that. I've just finished with probably 4.5 hours of polishing, probably 3 hours of welding, and probably an hour of cutting. So it's been a big day just to make that arch. Probably about a good 8 hours of work solid in that particular part. And what I'll do now is I'll go and make some measurements back on the boat. Tomorrow I'll come in. I've got some 25mm 316. I tend to bend it with my tube bender and then weld some mounts onto those as well. I've run out of filler rods, so I need to wait until Janet can go and get me some tomorrow. But yeah, she's been a hot one today.
So Ross is on one of the hottest days of the year, which is probably not the smartest idea on the planet, is actually marking off some of the final areas of this flooring because it's gotten his nose long enough that he's decided to do it. I suggested
and now I've got doors installed. I've got this much less room.
I mean, I don't know why you would pick today to do it, but it's to ease his guilt.
It's bloody hot.
It's to ease his guilt because rather than go at the factory, he went for a swim outside on the back of the boat, which is pretty beautiful today, so I'll give you a look. How gorgeous it is today. So I really can't say I blame him for not wanting to do any work today. So, but anyway, the guilt got the better of him and he's finishing off the flooring.
I just said to Janet, make sure you bring the camera in nice and close so you can see all the details. She said, I can see the bald patch.
Because he reckoned I wasn't in close enough, but I could see the bald patch on his head, so I figured I was close enough.
I've taken it to the next level where every single piece of the flooring now needs to have the hardwood no more gaps edging, because it just does really finish it so much better than I could have done. Sorry about my bald patch, Janet.
I'm so sorry.
At least I've got black hair.
Ooh. Anyway, I don't care that I haven't. So.
Alright, so this hardwood flooring sealer that I put in, or gap filler, is a really nice colour that complements this, and as it ages it's darkening better to match the wood. But yeah, once it's all done it looks really, really nice. And then what we're going to do, we're going to come through and sand all these floor hatches down a little bit because they're a little bit high, and then we'll re-stain them all with the clear, and probably never have to do it again because there is a little bit of gel coat overspray here. I don't know when that happened, probably when I resprayed this wall here. But yeah, there's a lot of detail work getting done now that, you know, I could probably leave and not worry about, but it's really annoying me.
Do it. No, and then anyway, Ellen came down and pointed out everything that needed a sand and a stain. So
You raised her. She's your daughter too. Well, she's your daughter, that's the problem. She picked on everything just like somebody else can.
This is where he's already done it. It might be hard to see, but when he put that, when he put the filler in, it was really, really bright, and it looked, you know, very light. But once it dried and aged, this was done probably a month or two ago, and so it blends in quite nicely with the wood. Originally, I think Ross has probably already said before, we talked about doing it in black, and I'm so glad we didn't. There's some cleaning up to do over in that far corner, but I'll let Ross do that. But yeah, it finishes it, I think. So we're now on the next stage, which is actually filling between the masking tape, which you've probably seen Ross do before.
End up wasting a lot.
It doesn't matter though, it does a good job and it edges it. It's really good to know we're almost near the end of doing it all. Really good. Doing a great job. Of course, our bedroom's the last to be finished.
Yeah, I'll do our bedroom last.
That's okay, doesn't matter.
Better off to do one at a time because it sets up so quickly, especially because it's like 40 degrees today.
Yeah.
Oh.
Might you need some water?
Yeah, can you get the spray? Don't want it too thick. You end up with a real raised ridge. So I was worried I wasn't doing it right by masking it all, and then I had a comment. A guy, he said, I do this for a living and I mask everything. So that made me feel better. Don't need a lot. And that just gives a nice seal, sort of a finished look on it. It tends to seal it, and I believe that it helps to cure it better when you got a bit of water. It don't work too hard though.
Oh, I should. Oh, it's a nice hot day.
It's always the risk. Pretty easy clean up. It's all water based, so.
It's getting close to the end on this side. Anyway, there's still some stuff to do in our bedroom, but he's done most of it, and you can see how, where there's a floor piece, how complicated the masking can be, or at least I think it's complicated. Other people might not.
My little brother Brett, who's an architect, said to me that no more gaps is to hide bad workmanship, and I don't know how I could have done a better job putting the flooring in because it's pretty close to the margins, but you've got to then cover up, and yeah, the masking's been considerable, and today, what did we get? 42 degrees today. But we've just had a big southerly buster come through, and we call him a southerly buster because it breaks the heat. Went from 42 to 25 in 10 minutes.
Because on this hemisphere, suddenly, if you're from the other hemisphere, obviously you just switch it. Suddenly, coming from the south means cool, Antarctic, and cooler weather.
I could use the Antarctic weather right now. It's still hot in here though. It's very hot.
But in comparison. Anyway, we had a down tools and a few swims and lunch.
Yep.
Waiting for the southerly to come. And it came early, which was a real treat.
Nice. A couple of hours early, which is really nice. It's pretty considerable effort. And I've done all of this room in here as well, so I'll go and get my caulking gun and we'll give it a go. I want to do it while it's nice and hot so that it'll dry quickly. You don't want to be walking around here in the time when it's drying because it is quite elastic for a day or so. We really want to make sure we can do it while we've still got some hot weather so that it sets up quick and then obviously becomes more usable. Ran out. Okay, it's time to make the supports for my solar arch, which is over here. It's pretty substantial. It's not really an arch, it's more like a bridge. So I've got some 25mm 1.6mm 316 stainless mirrored finish, and I'm actually bending it here on my pipe slash tube bender. It's actually a tube bender, but it is more of a pipe bender. But anyway, it's doing a reasonable job. It does flatten out a little bit, but I'm not that concerned about it. It's all going to be hidden under the solar panels anyway, and once all welded up, it's going to be a really nice addition to the boat. It's going to give us a lot of shade and a lot of rain protection as well, plus the ability to generate more solar without taking up my roof space, which I tend to need because I need to be able to get up to the boom, and I don't want to be having too much solar on the roof of the cabin. However, I will put another hard panel onto my hard top as well, should I need it in the future. But I think we're going to be right with another 3 or 4 panels on the top of this arch. But for now, I'm just bending tube, and I bent one over here, and I've actually got my cheater here that I made about 2 or 3 years ago, which gives me the exact measurements required for a 90-degree bend, and that's all you need. You basically got a 13cm distance from corner to corner, and that's how you line it up in the tube bender, and we just wind it round, and that's it. I made a huge mistake. I threw out my gold pipe that I use for my tube bender. Can't believe it. So I've had to pinch one of my kayak racks and cut a couple of brackets off it to make it workable. I cannot believe I threw it out. I had so much excess steel we got rid of it. We were getting rid of the mold. I just kept chucking stuff in the skip. Anyway, luckily I had another piece and it's strong enough. So the good thing is this one's a bit longer, so I can get a good bend with it. So the key is to tighten it down, and then we just walk it round. We've got a bit of spring back, so I've allowed for that. And one more time, and then we're done. And as you can see here, this here is way past 90 degrees, so there's always an element of spring back as it comes back. So it's about 5 degrees of spring back that I've allowed for, and that tends to give me a perfect 90-degree angle on this tube. Be careful not to scratch it too much. You don't want to be over polishing something that's already mirror polished. Perfect 90-degree bend, and all I've got to do now is get the measurements to join that to the hard top of the boat up where the Traveller is, just adjacent or at the stern of the Traveller, and that'll make a nice clean lines and keep it nice and neat for me to be able to put some serious solar panels on it, and also for sea kayaks hanging off the back. Janet said to me about half an hour ago, "You haven't been filming any of this." I said, "Yeah, it's pretty hard to film on my own when I'm trying to work out angles and get these dead right on this solar arch." I've actually come up with a bit of a jig, including a ladder, masking tape, and a 90-degree set square to get these angles right. Now, I've actually got to allow for a slight forward angle to sort of match the roof line. I don't think I'm going to get it dead right, but anyway, so what I've done is I've gone dead square off the floor here. However, the back end down here is about 3 centimeters up, so it's going to give me a slight angle, 2 or 3 degrees here, which is going to make a big difference to the look of the boat. I'm trying to keep the angle of the solar panels as close to the roof as possible, but I'm not going to get it right. I may actually get some rainwater running off that onto the roof and then into potentially a rainwater catchment system that I'm going to work on later on. However, what I'm doing now is I'm actually holding these in place. I'm just tacking them in place. Never show you welds on YouTube because they're shocking, but they polish up all right. And over here we've got the end ones. I've done the 2 end ones first, and then I've done the smaller one in the middle. These are slightly lower because the roof actually bows, so I've had to allow for a slightly shorter leg on this one, and then I've got one more to do down here. And the way I do that is by measuring from here to here to make sure it's square this plane, and then I've got it upright, and I've also got to make sure it's at 90 degrees to the jig, and the jig being the ladder and a heap of masking tape to get this particular shape right. Once I get it all tacked together, I'll be able to lift it up onto a table and be able to work a lot more comfortably, but at the moment I'm working on my knees and it's pretty unimpressive. Taking shape now. This rather large solar structure is taking shape, and I've just decided to add a few things to it. On the stern of our boat, we have no ability to stop anyone from going towards the sugar scoops, so it's time to put some lifeline hooks in. What I've actually done is I've got some stainless saddles, and I've installed them onto this and welded them on, and I've just spent a bit of time polishing it up. It's not quite done yet. So these small saddles will accept a pelican hook like so, and simply be able to be tethered back. Now I intend to use Dyneema and actually splice the Dyneema into the pelican hook so that I haven't got stainless cable. I don't want stainless lifelines. I'm actually going to do complete 6mm Dyneema all over the boat, just to give me that ability to be able to replace them easily and no rust, and certainly all nice and soft as well. They don't tend to be abrasive as well on your body. But I've just welded a couple more saddles onto this here, and I just need to spend a little bit of time polishing them back, and then I'll be able to mirror polish the actual tube itself as I've done with the other side. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's there's a little bend in it which I'm not concerned about. I think it will straighten out, but it's a massive structure. It's 3.5 metres wide, 2.4 metres high, and it is certainly going to be a rather prominent thing on the back of the boat. The actual hard top comes out to about here, so whatever sits on top will give us a little bit more rain and sun protection.
Bit of a celebration for us.
I tell you, it's taken me 3 days to build this. 3 solid days. And the bloody last straw was the little hooks for the lifelines, but they'll be good with a pelican hook on them. And these massive pelican hooks, they'll just hook in and have these Dyneema lifelines attached to them so Janet won't go overboard.
Unless he throws me. I think you can hear the frustration in Ross's voice. I think it's taken a lot longer than he thought.
Yeah, so just to see it in context, if you want to see the size of this friggin' thing, it's like the Harbour Bridge, the Sydney Harbour Bridge. But this is going to go on the back of Synergy and mount onto the hard top, which is about here. So yeah, it's a pretty impressive structure. That is a beast, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So while we've still got the factory, we're trying to knock over a lot of little projects, and that was one of them. It wasn't exactly little. That's taken me, actually there's 4 days work in that if I take into account cutting and shaping and everything. But yeah, it's quite a big structure. It is going to change the look of the back of the boat a little bit, but we need the real estate. So the next job will be this guy. I've started sort of doing some fine tuning of the shape, and that's going to have to be laminated. Obviously I've done as good a shape as I reckon I'll get without a lot more hand sanding, and I may even put a little bit more work into it, but it's at the point now where I could laminate it and relatively happy, and then I can flip it over once it's all solid and then start to work on the top of it, and that's going to be nice. Things like these fairing tools have just been great to get the curve. You buy these next to nothing, and you just buy 3M sandpaper to just Velcro on, and life's changed a lot since I've had all these different fairing tools to make life a lot easier. But yeah, so that's going to have a layer of, I've decided to make it in polyester, and I'm going to do it in a layer of 300 CSM and then a layer of 600 double bias, and then peel ply it, and then I'll fair and paint potentially. I don't think I'll gel coat it, it's just going to be too much work to gel coat. There's not going to be a lot of it exposed, to be honest, because this part here I may not even bother painting because it's going to have a bolster on it, like a foam cover on it, like an OC tender type thing. And then the top decks, obviously we have to work out whether we're going to paint it or gel coat it. More likely to paint it, and then I don't have to spray the gel coat and polish it back.